Today we are joined by Mr. Michael Dorner, a researcher, entrepreneur, and software engineering consultant who is as comfortable crunching data as he is leading innovation. Michael bridges the gap between academic rigor and the real world impact, offering practical solutions for companies adopting open source as well as inner source strategies. Michael's work has mm, partnered with giants like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Spotify, and Siemens, and he's a passionate advocate for open sciences, making his research and data publicly available. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to dive into your journey from an academic researcher to entrepreneurial innovation, especially the latest one, visual. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, so let's start with sharing with our audience what visual is all about, what Visual Card Studio brings to the card manufacturers and the users alike.
The idea behind Visual, specifically the Visual Card Studio, is to finally have a tool so that the card manufacturer and the customer alike can see what they get before they actually go to press. So that's the initial idea of the whole thing. And if you remember the times of COVID when we all had the lockdown, we couldn't do any on-press checks, right? So it was impossible. We were all locked away. It was very hard to invite a customer over for coffee and do an on-press check and see all the embellishments and how a hot foiling could look like, or an embossing, a debossing, and so on and so on. So we had this same problem, and at the same time, I was experimenting with 3D in a browser because I could see all of this metaverse coming in, all this crypto hype and metaverse hype, and everything is sort of 3D, and people are running around with goggles. So I thought, maybe we could do something in there. And indeed, I was lucky enough to have one of the best 3D designers of the country work for me. And we started working on a 3D visualization tool. And that was 4 years ago. Yeah, the rest is history, I would say.
Okay, so let's go more into detail. What was actually the core problem or gap in the card manufacturing industry that inspired the development of visual? I know you do a lot of work in secure card manufacturing, like credit cards, debit card, gift card, loyalty cards, and all of that. Would you like to highlight the actual core problem or gap that you found, which the visual
Yeah.
now?
So see, when you look at the card, a credit card, a loyalty card, it might not seem like much. It's a small, tiny rectangle. And you would think, like, what's so complex about it? As a matter of fact, a card can have the most complex printing on it that you've ever seen. If you think about security cards or credit cards, ID cards, they have so many different prints on them and embellishments and security inks and that you will never find anywhere else, not even in the most luxurious packaging in the market. So taking a ID card, for example, starting with the materials, but you're mixing lithoprint, offset printing, which can have 6, 7, 8 different spot colors, and then adding maybe 2 or 3 silk screen passes, whether it may be a UV or infrared light or so-called OVI, which is an optical variable inks, it's shifting colors, or
Mm-hmm.
cat eye effects or particles, and then you have foilings and holograms, and there's just so many things, right? And
I know.
chips. So it's crazy. The next time you look at your driver's license or ID or loyalty card or credit card, if you take a closer look, it's really complex. So I was looking around for a solution. I was looking for a software that would offer something that I could show online to a customer in a Teams meeting or Zoom meeting, to explain them how an embellishment or security feature could look like. And there's some softwares out there like the ESCO and some others, but not a single one was even close to what we needed. It was
Mm-hmm.
not even close. So I thought, there's a gap. And thinking about it, I started the company 20 years ago, right? So took it over from my dad, and the process was always the same. So we got the data, we got the print data, and we prepared a print proof, which was essentially the same data in a flat PDF.
Mm-hmm.
That's so 2000s, right? I mean,
I
that's
know.
really, and it's 25 years since 2000. And look, we might not have flying cars, and we're still using flat PDFs. Like, what the heck, right? So I thought there has to be a different way to do this. And that's how we started working on it, to be able to explain to a customer how or what's the difference even between a hot foiling and a silk screen metallic print, or how does a OVI optical variable ink look like, without having the need to actually go on press, which costs a lot of money. We're talking thousands and thousands of euros every time when you do a sample for an ID card, for example. That's
Mm.
where we saw the opportunity and where we attacked.
Oh, wow. And then I know I've learned so much throughout this process of working on visual with you. Would you like sharing a sneak peek about visual on this podcast with our audience, or would you like to save it for later? I'm okay both ways. Uh,
Oh no, I can absolutely do that. I can absolutely do that if you want to. Let me just log in really quick.
Yeah, I know. It all sounds so exciting. Earlier, a card just used to be or meant to be a piece of plastic. Now, whenever I hold a new card in the hand, I would spend at least 5 minutes observing. Okay, what all features does it has? How many layers it would have been used to produce it, right? So
Exactly.
now I better understand the intricacies of the card manufacturing process based on all the embellishing features or security features that are used to create it and make it unique piece of the plastic, right?
Exactly. And not only
So
plastic, we can use it for all kind of other materials. But let me share the screen really quick so that you can see it.
sure, sure,
So,
excited.
can you see the screen?
Oh yeah, all good.
All right. Wonderful. So, it's not only plastic. Sometimes we can do other materials as well. But
Mm-hmm.
let's start with, let me see. For example, let's take this one. I did this card last month at the International Card Manufacturers Association. Oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
got the wrong one. We've got like so many different
Mm-hmm.
cards already.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. And I did this one live on stage to show how different
Oh
effects can
wow.
look like. So taking it one by one, I can take all of the layers off. If you can see here, it's so simple. It is. If you've ever used like Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign or something, you will love this because it's pretty much the same. So I'm not a huge graphics guy and I'm not a developer, but it's so simple to use that I even use it day in day out. So you start with a white card basically,
Mm-hmm.
and you can add layer by layer. For example, the litho
Mm-hmm.
layer, like here. So it's just a matte surface. And then,
Wow.
for example, we could add a silkscreen pass with glitter. Like, these
Mm-hmm.
holographic glitters that they also have in
Mm-hmm.
packaging. You can see it. You can zoom all the way into the actual glitter if you want
Mm-hmm.
to, so that you can see it shimmering in the light. So it adds a
Mm-hmm.
shimmer to it, first embellishment. Then I have a second
Mm-hmm.
one, birds, which is
Mm-hmm.
another metallic print.
Okay. So
For
it can
example.
have as many as metallic layers you want to be
Exactly.
included, right?
You can have
Oh, wow.
metallic layers, you can have hot foilings, you can have
Mm-hmm.
embossings,
Mm-hmm.
debossings. Here I just
Mm-hmm.
added the hot foil of the
Mm-hmm.
like a blue hot foil
Mm-hmm.
for the logo,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of an expo text on top of it. And now a
Mm-hmm.
card usually has a lamination on top. So it has like
Mm-hmm.
a plastic film on top that's
Mm-hmm.
actually protecting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one of these things. How do you show like physically correct, like the reflection and everything? Now watch this. If I turn on the overlay, suddenly you
Mm.
have a reflection in the back, if you see that,
Yeah.
of an
Yeah.
actually glossy card, right? So if I take this off again, it becomes all matte. So it really is, we're actually building the
And
physical card in a
yeah.
correct way.
Okay. And I think, okay, that I guess earlier either you would have to probably send a 3D object that people will have to check because their browser is still not giving them the full accessibility to check it in the real scenario lightings, backgrounds, right? Or maybe a
Right.
flat PDF. But this
Exactly. And how do you do that? I mean, you have the flat PDF, right? And then you say
Mhm,
like you have like an area in magenta and say this is hot foiling. Like how is it going to look like, right? Here's another example of a
mhm,
metal card that we just
mhm.
did. I just whipped up a sample with an Adobe logo. Adobe, please don't sue me. This is just a sample of how, by the way, Adobe could do this as well using our software. So we had the inquiry, the question from a lot of customers: can we
Mhm,
do other materials? Can we do wood?
mhm,
Can we do metal? Can we do colored
mhm.
edge, for example? And making a card like that in real life costs a fortune. It's like it's a couple hundred to a couple thousands to make one sample card, right?
Wow.
So
Okay. So now
designing,
there is no
uh-huh,
more need of sampling, actual sampling, because you can create it in the 3D and almost have a real life experience that saves you all that effort of manufacturing that single card and sending it for approval. This could be
correct,
to an online approval, right?
correct,
Uh,
right,
oh,
absolutely
wow.
right.
Okay. Okay.
And we're trying, it's one is the approval, but the step
Mm,
before, even to actually create the card, to actually get a feeling of
mm,
what's possible. Like here, if you look at the Adobe logo, like this is like a almost like a
mm.
raised print, because they
Yeah.
do the company that we work with, as they want to do like a raised inkjet print on top of the metal, and they want to see how that looks like. That's it.
Mm.
So it makes it really phenomenally easy
That's
to
exciting.
create. Exactly,
Yeah.
it's super exciting. And you know what, we had some very nice experiences, because we got some designs from customers that we were asked to do in visual, and it didn't really turn out to look really well. And then we started redesigning, changing some colors, changing some embellishments, and it looked so much better. So they saved so much time and effort and money going that circle again and again, because they could just envision it like visual, um, in the software first, and then make it real. So
Okay.
same, yeah.
Okay. So I can see the unique proposition visual brings to its audience. But let's talk about who are your primary target audience for Visual Card Studio. I mean, who do you anticipate will be early adopters of this technology?
Well, as as you can imagine, like obviously the card manufacturers are the first target. And why? Because we made it for card manufacturers. Me myself, I have a company that is manufacturing cards. So one of my companies, Various Card, is a so-called non-secure, half-secure, secure card manufacturers, meaning we make loyalty cards, gift cards, and ID cards. We do not make credit cards. But we missed a tool, something like that. Like we were missing on something like that. So we designed this
Mm-hmm.
thing specifically for card manufacturers because we know everything about cards. And
Mm-hmm.
in the first place, it will be for card manufacturers only. So it's a fairly small audience. There are
Yep,
about 200 card manufacturers worldwide right
I
now.
know.
Um,
And
but
every one of
uh
them would be, I know, ideal user for this, right?
everyone would be an
Uh,
ideal user.
exactly.
But not only the manufacturers, because if you once you design a card for your customer, and your customer could be a bank, it could be um, I don't know, a Walmart or Target or whatever, grocery stores, like all these big chains, right? They can use that same design for their marketing. So even these guys are customers. So all the big banks, if they design a card like that, the beauty about it is we can share that whole link for their website. They can incorporate that whole thing into their website directly for marketing, for advertising, for showing how the card looks like. Like here on our website, I just integrated our own designs for people to see it immediately when they come to the website to see what is possible with Visual Card Studio, like this card here, right?
Exactly.
So
And I think now if we add the personalization on top of it and let people probably added some editable elements on it and creating the real time proofs on their own. uh,
exactly.
yeah. So let's talk about that. What are your future plans and vision for visual? Do you think personalization and any other upcoming features or expansions which are
Absolutely.
already under the plan?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, you can imagine when we dropped that bomb last month at the ICMA Expo, that was crazy. Everybody was going like, "Oh my God, I need this! And can we do personalization? Can we do that? Can we do that?" Yes. So, of course, that's on the roadmap, especially now after the feedback. We will be adding customization options and personalization. So you could upload a database and show like how does a personalization look like.
Mm-hmm.
You would be able to upload a photo. For example,
Mm-hmm.
there's some banks offering a custom credit card. Like you can
Yep.
upload a picture of your family or your last vacation or whatever, your dog, your pet, and have your own credit card, right? So these are
Yeah.
the scenarios that we see in the future for the card only. But we're going way further than that. So the card form factor was just the beginning because and it was the hardest, let's face it, because of all the possibilities it was the hardest. Now we're adding form factors. We're going more down the security road, going for security documents like even banknotes, passports, all of these things, certificates. And in the long run, for the really wide open market, we are aiming really high. Like we're going for the packaging and the print industry in general. And we know that we're going to have the best software that there is globally on the market available because it will be able to show every single detail physically correct of your print product.
That all sounds exciting. I know everyone other out there, for example, you said packaging. I could imagine that if you could have your packaging box with all of these embellishing options and is still able to view it in 3D, right? With all the effects and the real time backgrounds and everything. That's something going to change how the industry looks at the proofs and 3D review,
Yeah,
right? So that all
absolutely.
looks exciting. Michael, so I know you have been working on this concept for some time, right? I would like to understand um, what were the challenges initially? Was it finding the right uh, feature specifications? Was technology was the barrier, or finding the right team to do uh, creation with? I mean,
Yeah.
would you like to share your
Yeah, sure.
experience on?
Well, we have a software company too, right? So we have various systems, which is my software company, and we do have developers there. The initial problem was to put all of these parts, or to even find the parts of the huge puzzle, and put them all together. Because on one side you have all of the knowledge on the card, like how is it something manufactured? How exactly do these materials interact with each other? The other thing is the technology, the software based for that whole thing. So because 3D in a browser it's been around for a little bit, but not like for decades, right? So it's still in the very beginning. We see some crazy, amazing websites in 3D, but nothing like this has been around for the past years. And the third is someone who actually understands 3D as in its physical space. Like, how does the rendering actually work? How does rendering a light particle work? Like reflecting it with the cameras and lights and all that stuff programmatically. So we had these three puzzle pieces that just wouldn't fit together in the beginning. And we started 4 years ago in COVID. And I found this one guy. He was actually a doctor. He was actually a physical doctor, but he
Wow.
was amazingly good at 3D designing um, organs and body parts and all that. And he did it like physically correct, right, with the textures. And it's like,
And
how
you
did you
can't
do
go
that? How did you
wrong.
do that?
And you can't go wrong with that. So you were sure he won't go wrong with this, right?
Exactly. And I'm like, how did you do that? Like, I want to learn that. And I was like, you know what? You got a job now. So I employed a doctor.
Wow.
I employed an actual real doctor to make these materials appear correctly. It's really a fun story. And then we sat down with
That's
my
an
developers.
inspiration.
It's super great. So we've got these three absolute like um, miracle teams. The 3D team, the software team, and the cards team. The card team explained to the 3D guy how the materials work and interact, and then the 3D guy explained to the software guys what they have to do, right? So this is how this whole thing worked, and it we did this first like proof of concept 4 years ago, and it just blew our mind. We're like, oh my god, we're onto something here. And so for the first 3 years, we were just using it internally for ourselves to see how it could work, and it was fantastic. Upselling, cross-selling, embellishments, and adding value. It was just like that. It was just a breeze. And eventually, we said, we have to offer this to the world. We have to make a product out of this,
It has
and
to be.
it has to be. And then
Yeah.
we said, and that's when we said, okay, our team, our resources are limited. So we were reaching out for someone to help.
Okay. So I guess was it a chance encounter with Design and Buy? I mean, how did you found them? I mean, I know it's been never looking back with the two teams since then, right? So would you like to
Right.
talk about that? Um,
Design and buy. Well, yes. The fun story is we didn't know that you were developing stuff like that, right? So initially the thought was we have this 3D designer and we want to put that into our online shop. And so that was the base idea. Like, we have something, let's get a fourth partner in that knows everything about e-commerce, because we know nothing about e-commerce and SEO, and our website is about 15 years old. So we had to find someone who really knows what they're doing, and I found Design and Buy. I believe actually the first time I saw Design and Buy was something at Drupa or somewhere else, some other show, and then I found you again, and we started talking, and you convinced me with all of the references that you had and the samples of all the web shops, technologies that you were working with, Shopify and Magento and whatnot. So, and you understood very quickly the potential of that product with the customization, online customization, make the customer do your work, basically, right? And when we started working on it, we figured out it would be a good idea to actually hand over that POC or our own internal demo or software that we did and just do it from scratch again. Let's just do it from scratch again, um, and put it up on the state of the art technology that we have right now. So we're at that state right now, and then in the second step we'll offer all of the APIs to all kinds of shops in the future for e-commerce shops to do mass customization, for banks to offer personalized credit cards or loyalty cards or gift cards. Um, so that's why we chose you.
Okay, that's really I think exciting. Why? Because I guess the philosophy that Michael believes in is taking web to print beyond this, domain of print, and make it true web to any, or probably any to any, because it's all about visualization, personalization, and how you perceive a new project. How do you engineer, blend in the technology and the engineering and the vision and create something new out of it. I think that's what, I think the team at Design and Buy is good at. So they do not bind themselves within this umbrella of just web to print. And I think this specialty projects is actually their USP. But I'm glad you find the team you were looking for, and you could launch the visual, the dream of
Yes.
launching visual soon, in year 2025. I know that's the deadline you have set when we met in our first
Right.
meeting, right? So I'm glad, Michael, and I'm sure the pipeline for visual looks all exciting, and congratulations for getting your first set of users or customers on board this month. And I'm sure they
Thank you.
are as exciting as us to use this wonderful platform. Right. So, Michael, I'm sure, like the response that you get at the ICMA conference, I'm sure you are lined up for demonstrating visual at a lot of other international platforms this year. Would you like to talk about that in a brief?
About the sorry, you were just cut off for a couple seconds. Sorry.
I was just asking, like, I know you have got a very warm and welcoming response for visual at ICMA Expo, and I'm sure you are lined up to present
Yeah.
visual at many other exhibitions around
Yes.
the world. Would you like to talk
Yes.
about the lineup for our
Yes. So
audience?
we are there. Besides having a ton of demos that we do right now for companies around the world because they just cannot wait for the next trade shows, we're going to exhibit at probably exhibit at the Cars Trust Tech show in France, which is one of the biggest cards shows around, and some other card-specific shows in Asia and the US. Also in Europe at the ICMA Card Tracks in Germany in October. And we might be, we will see, hopefully going to Orlando to one of the biggest print fairs there, and hopefully with you guys to join you there. We will see. But beside of that, beside of the shows, of course, everyone is invited to book a demo directly with us online. So since it's an online browser-based software, it's very easy to show that directly online.
Okay. Thank you, Michael, for such an insightful conversation and sharing your experiences and wisdom with us. And I also thank you, our listeners. Thanks for tuning in. So, if you have any further questions for Michael, you can directly reach out to him or check out the Visuals website. and wish you all a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nidhi. Thank you for your time. So good talking to you. Great team. I just have to say it one more time. You have an amazing team, working with them, changing from a planned approach to an agile approach. Making this possible was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome.